Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to Worldwide Technology Raceway for tonight's Gateway 125. My name is Robert Hill Jr. Joining me, as always, is Chris Wright. Chris, how you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing good, buddy. Feels like it's been a while since we've been out here. Obviously, we were off last week for Labor Day. Now, might be a laboring night. We'll see how it goes here tonight at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Your race format tonight: 100 laps, no stages, halfway point to the leader, and just 4 sets of tires. So nice, quick, and easy out there. As we take a look at the starting grid, Chris, your pole sitter this evening is RC Enerson with Justin Fuller alongside. Trey Eidson, Tyler Fody, row number 2. Ethan Burrell, Scott Crump, row 3. Kian Raleigh, Leighton Norgard, row number 4. With Braxton Deweese and Ethan Stanley rounding out the top 10. Just behind them, Johnny Thomas, Chad Frankenfield, Matthew Weeks, Jay Knorr, John Cutlip, Gerald Campbell, Jeff Green, Seth Rawls, William White, and Dustin Doerr. That's your top 20. Chris, why don't you take us through the rest of the field?
Yeah, then we got Kanya Jones, Jaden Rasmus, Jesse Rasmus. They're sharing a row. A little further in the field, I think they'd like to share the front row. Then you got Trey Holmes, Tate Lytle way back there, David Carpenter, Michael Hosick, Tyler Pop, Brandon Ultra, Garrison Hogan, and Mark Rebilas. They're running out the qualifiers. Josh Adams, Corey Abbott, Jess Story, and Andrew Hardcastle did not get a lap. Should be an exciting race. I will probably, at some point tonight, refer to this place as Gateway instead of Worldwide Technology. It's I grew up on it being called Gateway, so I think for my pick to win, it's going to have, its race is like a short track, lots of brakes, going to probably downshift in turns 1 and 2. I think I got to take Scott Crump out here as my pick to win. He's pretty good at the short tracks.
You took Scott Crump. I'm going to take RC Enerson as we get set to go green. Here we go. Green flag is displayed, and we are underway. Chris, right?
Yeah, down on the turn 1. Great start there for RC, getting out of the way. And, typically RC, we think of as a road course ace, but he is really good at these short tracks. Everybody dives down into turn 1. RC is going to get clear for the lead.
RC, like you mentioned, a road course ace of sorts. As just behind him is where we find Justin Fuller and Trey Eidson. Eidson has really come alive lately, Chris.
Oh,
as
we're
we
wrecking in
have
the back.
an incident,
Conan Jones, Tate Lytle,
Jesse Racimus involved in that one as well. Conan Jones, one of the big perpetrators in that incident, as we'll take a look here on the Rebilas Photography replay machine.
Mark gets in there pretty hard.
And we'll take a look.
I think the 70 wasn't ready for someone to break there.
Just taking a look. Yeah, the 70 gets in a little bit hot. But Kynan Jones does check up a little bit earlier than everyone else. Obviously, the 70 still has to be aware of that, Chris, right?
Yeah, you're running 20th at this point. You're not going to be able to drive down in there as deep as you would if, and have been in practice and qualifying. A little bit of a, when you're braking on these short tracks, on these restarts in the first few laps, you can't get in quite as deep as you've been able to. Now, there was a big gap in front of the 85, but he's still going to be easy into the corner, not trying to dive under the 07. And he definitely checked up, and the guys behind him weren't ready for it. But you kind of got to be ready for that on these first laps. So it's unfortunate there for Tate Lytle. He didn't qualify very good, ended up in this wreck. Mark Rebilas gets down in there and gets a piece of it. And Jones gets pretty severe damage there.
Yeah, unfortunately on that one, Chris, tally going to be issued to the 70 of Jesse Racimus. Of course, it was an early checkup for Kynan Jones, but you still got to be aware that that potentially could happen, especially deep in the field. So tally number 1 on lap number 1 to the 70 of Jesse Racimus. And again, the tally just issued to the 70 there of Racimus. Chris, you know, sometimes you get those early tallies and you don't pick up another one, so hopefully that's the case for Jesse tonight. I like Jesse. He's a good driver. He's trying to build himself up more and more over the last season or two, and he's done a nice job of that.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Trey Eidson's came along pretty good. That's a guy. Justin Fuller's came along, gotten pretty good. Kean's gotten a lot, but a lot of these guys have gotten better and gotten, you know, Leighton Norgard's one, you know, who has gotten really well. He runs really well.
1 second here, Chris. Seth Rawls complaining of a bumper on the apron down there in turn number 1.
Yeah, those aren't good. We're getting ready to restart. RC has picked up bottom here.
So we're getting set to restart, Chris, and Josh Adams. He's about a straightaway back of the rest of the field. He's going to catch up just in time as we get set to go green. Once again, RC Enerson on the loud penalties. The control car down on the bottom. Trey Eidson on the outside this time.
Yeah, and just talking about Josh Adams, he is of the thinking tonight there's going to be a lot of wrecks.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, Chris, that's likely to be the case here. A bit of a tighter racetrack, and these drivers definitely going to have to be aware of their surroundings all night long, as my system that I use to track incidents has just notified me that the pace car has made a pit stop. So very interesting there, as we see Jess Story. Looks like he's running a bit of a different paint scheme tonight. A team-sponsored Mountain Man Chevrolet on the 29. We got some 3-wide action just a moment ago. There's Trey Holmes, Jaden, and Jesse Racimus all together there, as Jay Connor and Gerald Campbell swap positions. It's Connor backing out of it on the inside of Johnny Thomas, as Hardcastle and Abbott do battle. Those are teammates in the 21 and 22, and here comes the 2. It's Tate Lytle down to the bottom. The 22 Hardcastle gonna back out of it. He thinks better, doesn't want to go 3-wide into the corner, and
Leighton Norgard's in the wall.
Norgard up in the wall there, like you mentioned, Chris, able to continue on. There's Frankenfield on his inside. Chad running a little bit higher than I would like if I was the car on the outside, but that's his right. He can run wherever he wishes as long as he's not pushing a Leighton up into that wall. We take a look at Conan Jones. That car has seen much better days on the 85pitpassnetwork.com machine. Missing the rear end. Looks like a new damage model came out on these Grand National cars here on the latest build, Chris.
Yeah, it did. And talking about what Chad running the 12 up high, that's why we have cautions here. That's why this place races like such a short track. You drive down into turn 1 and you use a ton of brake. You use just as much brake down into turn 1 here as you use into turn 1 at Pocono.
Yeah, you're going to be using a lot of brake force. If we had the telemetry lines, you would see that these drivers are applying quite a bit of brake pressure. You're going to see different brake biases throughout the field tonight. If this was the next gen, you would see many different master cylinder options, as Michael Hosick gets a piece of the wall. That's Brandon Ultra just behind him. Garrison Hogan, one that started at the tail of the field. He's already up to 23rd. He's got Jaden Racimus ahead of him. Jaden battling with Dustin Durr. Jaden, another driver that's quietly getting better and improving week by week. We've seen him up in the top 10, top 15 a couple times recently. The results not necessarily where he'd want thus far, but this driver seems to be figuring it out. Still a very young driver in that 07, as he's got Garrison Hogan, who, you know, he's sometimes on the aggressive side in that number 1 machine. So Jaden gonna have to be wary of any possible moves here by Garrison Hogan. And Chris,
and that's probably part of what makes RC so good around here. You talk about how much brake we're using. Yeah, not only are you using brake, you're downshifting. You're downshifting while you're braking into turn 1.
Garrison,
we might get a yellow. thought something might happen. There is a big breakup now in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, you can see the breakup from the Jesse Racimus machine back to Garrison Hogan. Then we have a bit of a shuffling of positions back here. Tate Lytle.
We're trying to go 3 wide.
Up to the high side, Jaden
Racimus.
Good save. Good save, guys. That was good. Good save by those guys. Potentially could have been a big one, but able to gather it up. Jaden Racimus still a little bit squirrely there as Jess Story and Dave Carpenter battle it out. Josh Adams works his way forward as Racimus grabs a big piece of the wall. Jaden, he's going to fall back now, losing a position to Michael Hosick as well as Dave Carpenter. So Racimus going backwards, unfortunately, might have jinxed him a little bit.
Definitely.
Commentator's curse once again. Take a look at Ethan Burrell. He's kind of in a bit of a bubble there. He's got a gap behind him to fan favorite Braxton DeWeese. And ahead of him, Kean Raleigh. And Raleigh all over Tyler Fode's rear end. Fode, he's been off to a fairly hot start to the season himself, as obviously Tyler Fode, one of the best here in the Elite Racing League.
Yep, and it doesn't matter what track it is, what car it is. Tyler finds a way to make great speed out here.
And to be fair, Chris, you know, Tyler has picked up a lot more rivals and enemies on the racetrack over the past season or so, as his mentality's changed a little bit. But I think he would most likely be a very competitive driver in just about any league or series that he possibly could take part in. He's just one of those drivers, like you mentioned, very well-rounded, very established, and just very smart out on the racetrack. As we take a look back at the front, Justin Fuller closing that gap on R.C. Enerson. Fuller was able to get by Trey Eidson a little while ago. Now has almost a second over the Trey Eidson machine as Josh Adams and Brandon Ultra duke it out side by side here. It's I was about to call him Tate Lytle because he's running the 56, but it's Josh Adams down low as Brandon Ultra gets a piece of the wall and he swings down. That could have been a bad incident there, which could have led to a Josh Adams machine going around. Taking a look through the field, though.
That's a great looking car, though, isn't it? That Caney's machine looking great. Great chicken.
Yeah, it's probably second best to KFC.
I disagree there. We'll start a fight right here.
I've actually never had Cane's, Chris. It's not something that's up here. I'm sure it's pretty good. But I noticed Jacob Adams not here tonight in that 52 machine, and he was off to a fairly decent start to the season. As we have some Lake Norman teammates battling it out here. Scott Crump.
Leighton Norgard's going to try to pass them both. And Gerald Campbell. Oh, it's going to get into Leighton Norgard. We're wrecking here. Gerald Campbell's around. Leighton Norgard got a piece of that.
Leighton Norgard, Scott Crump, Gerald Campbell all involved in that one. As we take a peek here, see what happened.
Watching it live, what happened, the 12 was going to split the two Lake Norman cars. The 92
1
cut him off, the
second
12
here.
had to lift. And when the 12 lifted, 31 got him.
Yeah, you can kind of see that here, Chris. We're going to go on board with a Leighton
If you back
Norgard.
up just a little further, you'll see what caused them to check up too. The 92 pushed up real tight and nearly ran the 90 up into the fence, and that slowed both of them up.
Chris, I'm going to call this one a racing deal as a bit of a chain reaction. The 92 gets loose, a Leighton Norgard checks up. Gerald not really anywhere to go. Gets into the back of him. Could have been much bigger, but I'm going to go with a racing deal on that particular incident.
Oh, I think that's a great call. You know, like I said, the 92 pushed up, nearly ran the 90 into the fence. They both checked up. The 12 was going to pass them both. The 92 shut the door there in the middle, said, "You're not splitting us in the middle." And about that time, the 12 had to check up, and Gerald was turning down to follow the 12. And when the 12 checked up, Gerald just caught him in the back. Tell you what, Scott Crump is very lucky because he got hit right there. If Crump gets hit right there in the left rear,
could have been destroyed.
That would have turned him into Ethan Stanley. Lake Norman would have been down 2 cars on the backstretch, and we'd have had a bigger accident than what we'd ended up with probably 8 or 10 cars involved.
Absolutely. As we continue on, RC Enerson, Garrison Hogan, Josh Adams all opted to stay on the racetrack. Justin Fuller, first one to come down pit road, followed by Tyler Fody, Trey Eidson, Kean Raleigh, Ethan Burrell, Chad Frankenfield, and Braxton DeWeese. That's the top 10 as they run. We might as well take a run a little bit further through the field. Ethan Stanley in 11th, Scott Crump in 12th, Gerald Campbell 13th. Those drivers just involved in the latest incident. Jay Connor in 15th. John Cutlip in 15th is Cutlip. 14th is Connor. 16th, Matthew Weeks. Johnny Thomas 17th. William White 18th. Seth Rawls 19th. Dustin Durr 20th. Then it's Jeff Green, Jesse Racimus, Tyler Pop, Tate Lytle, Jess Story. That's the top 25. Brandon Ultra, Andrew Hardcastle, Dave Carpenter, Corey Abbott, and Mark Rebilas, the top 30, followed by Trey Holmes, Michael Hosick, Kynan Jones. He got a rear end put back on that thing. Jaden Racimus, and a Leighton Norgard.
Now, I just want to say something about these pit calls. For RC, I don't like staying out when everybody pitted because you could have pitted and stayed in the top 5. But for Garrison, who was in the middle of the field, had maybe climbed up to around 10th or 15th, I'd like the call. And I definitely like the call for Josh Adams because he didn't get to qualify.
Garrison and Josh both have gained 28 and 29 positions, respectively. So not a bad move for those drivers as we're going to get set to go green here. It's going to be RC Enerson, the control car once again as he's down on the bottom. We'll watch for any potential wheel spin here as we get some out of the one of Hogan. That checks up the Justin Fuller machine. Just behind him, Josh Adams able to dive down to the inside as we're going to go forward here. Green flag. Ethan Burrell letting out a bit of a whoa.
3 wide right at Josh Adams
squirrely back there. Adams in the middle is Raleigh. Down low, Burrell up top. Chad Frankenfield just behind. He's getting a little bit excited knowing that there's 3 wide action, and he's going to try to join in. He does. He dives to the inside. Adams going the wrong direction. Braxton DeWeese gets a big old piece of the wall. Ethan Stanley checks up down low. These guys are wild right now. Nearly contact there between Scott Crump and Jay Connor. Here comes Seth Rawls to the inside of Gerald Campbell. Just an update here. Josh Adams already back to 17th. He's going to be 3 wide once again. Johnny Thomas with a great move up through the middle as Justin Fuller takes over the race lead here. Chris RC has fallen back to 5th. So it's Fuller, Eidson, Fody, and Burrell ahead of RC Enerson. So fresh tires coming into play here early. It was Chad all over the rear end.
A lot more than these guys thought they were going to.
Ethan Stanley with a pretty big lap here. He's already gained 3 spots in this particular lap. He's going to be scored up at, I believe, the 7th, maybe 8th position. Yeah, 8th spot. So he's gained a few since they crossed the line last. Chad Frankenfield up to the high side.
Oh, we got contact up here. I think it was Garrison falling back, and it nearly triggered a wreck there.
Well, that's getting a little bit sketchy, yeah. Weeks, Campbell, and DeWeese all picked up 4 X's on that particular lap.
I don't think anybody thought tires were going to mean as much as they're meaning right now.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I didn't think we'd be having tires meaning this much. Scott,
none of these guys. I know Josh is
an
falling
incident
back.
point there.
Josh is falling back way harder than these other 2, but Josh was the first one that people got to, and then
this is getting a little bit bent out of shape. Gerald Campbell. Joe Campbell complaining that his car feeling like it's down on horsepower here, Chris.
I think they're trying to save money this week. They didn't give him quite all the horsepower, right?
He did get involved in the incident a little bit earlier. You can see the rear end of Gerald's machine kind of hanging off there.
I will say what these guys might be hoping is catching a caution here in the next 5 or 6 laps and coming and getting their tires against the field. Now, they won't be able to go through them like the fields went through them. There was only 3 of them that stayed out.
So, Chris, just an update here that Gerald Campbell just expressed that it feels like he's down about 300 RPM as Garrison Hogan takes it way high there, trying to get by Brandon Ultra and
I think he was trying to get out of the way.
We got some contact. I believe that was Dustin Durr that just hit the wall.
At this point, with you realize now, if you're RC, Garrison, Josh, you know how important tires are now. You're just trying to fall back without getting ran over, and I think that's what Garrison was doing down into 3. He knew they were too wide behind him, and he knew that he wasn't going to be able to fight them, so he just kind of got up out of the way. You're just
you mentioned the tires, Chris. In RC, he's already fallen back to 15th, and he was quick out of the gates. He was probably the quickest car on the racetrack. Currently scored 15th, and then Garrison Hogan 24th, with Josh Adams back to the 31st position, and he's struggling right now to hold off Mark Rebilas, and Rebilas just behind him, and they're about a half lap down at this point as Justin Fuller, Trey Eidson, and Tyler Fody, your top 3 here. We're almost 30% of the way through this one, so nice pace thus far for these drivers. A couple drivers ticking off their personal bests of this race. Tyler Pop just put down his quick time with a 35.444.
And now the field's starting to get strung out a little bit. The odds of a caution are dwindling every lap, and those guys that stayed out are sitting here saying,
Chris.
Hey, we need one.
I don't know that you could say that the chances of caution are dwindling. We still have a handful of cars together. I mean, you look at this gaggle here back behind the top 15 from 15th through about 25th or so. Everyone's together. There's a caution. It's Johnny Thomas. Take a look at that one on the Rebilas photography replay machine. One car involved, so I'm thinking it might be cut and dry.
You know what this was?
That's a solo spin by JT. Wow.
Yeah, I think just he has a lot of rear brake in it, trying to help it turn.
That's wild that a caution even came out there. He didn't come to a complete stop, but I guess the degree that he was sideways.
Trying to get it downshift in, trying to brake hard. Got all kinds of rear brake in it. Now, one thing that's interesting here, I wonder if everybody will come and get tires. Because they could, and hope that it goes green. Everybody could come and get tires and hope it goes green. They'd still have, I think, 2 sets. They started with 4 in the pits.
Fuller, Eidson, and Fody, they are all on the access lane here, Chris. Burrell and Raleigh going to stay out. Actually, Burrell and Frankenfield, going to stay out. Jess Story also remaining out, as well as Tate Lytle and Johnny Thomas, who just went for that spin. But, well, Chris, we're going to take this chance to go pay some bills. We'll talk to our friends at TA Services, as well as iRacing.com. And when we come back, we'll have more action here from the Gateway 125 at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
easy. But experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back. Here's the Gateway 125 from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. You just heard from TA Services and iRacing.com. TA, one of our premier partners, alongside Blue Egg Marketing. Blue Egg is the marketing department for small businesses. And Worldwide Technology Raceway, the home of tonight's race, is also home to this 1.25-mile oval, a 2-mile road course, quarter-mile drag strip, and state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex. Check out Worldwide Technology Raceway today and head over to RebilasPhoto.com for all your photography needs, courtesy of Mark Rebilas, who's currently scored in position number 9 as we're getting set to go green here, Chris Wright.
We got a mixed bag here. Strategies. First 9 cars or so stayed out. Ethan Stanley took 2. It's a real mixed bag here. Great start there for Burrell.
Oh, we're going 4 wide. Ethan
and
Stanley
Mark
just
Rebilas
forced
is around
it 4 wide.
Is in it.
And we're under caution.
Jeff Green's over there.
Well, Chris, from what I saw, it looked like Ethan Stanley kind of forced it in there. But we'll take a look anyways and see what happened.
I believe it's Justin Fuller takes him 3 wide down into 1.
That's tough because Fuller was in the spot down there on the bottom.
Mark just washes up on his old tires. Like Ethan was trying to go for 4 wide there too, I see. Ethan was trying to turn down to go for 4 wide. The 99 wasn't turning very good because he's on old tires. That spins the 99. Gets the 40 involved. And Jeff Green spins out, coming in there behind him. Jeff gets tagged by the 22 into the side of the 88, and he spins.
So I'm going to take a look once again, Chris, because I'm actually leaning towards a racing deal on this one. Multiple drivers kind of going for the same spot, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I know you're the one making these calls out here. You're the admin of the chat or of the race tonight too. So I agree with that. I think the 92 came down to try to go 4 wide. I think the 99 just couldn't turn. I think it's a racing deal. They were already 3 wide. You know, maybe asking 4 wide was a little much there from Stanley, but you got to go on these tires.
Absolutely. I'm going to make the call here over the race chat, so just give me one moment. So racing deal issued there. And just an update, Chris, I did mention to Ethan Stanley having a bit of a blinking issue on the last restart. Just kind of told him to keep an eye on it, make sure that he's able to sort that out. But let's take a run through the top 10. And no, not just because one of my drivers is up there. Ethan Burrell there on the, on the control position right now. Nice picture of him there with his fiancee Rachel. They're getting married soon. Ethan Burrell in the 37, Jess Story in the 29 on the bottom side of that front row. Then it's Chad Frankenfield in the 15 with Tate Lytle on his outside. Michael Hossack and Johnny Thomas in row number 3. Justin Fuller and Dave Carpenter in row 4, followed by Ethan Stanley and Trey Eidson rounding out the top 10 as they run. As we're going to get set to go green once again. And like I mentioned, it's Ethan Burrell, the control car this time. All right, as we have a couple cars just catching the field here. Corey Abbott issued a black flag.
One thing interesting here, Mark did not pit. He just got turned up there, and he still is choosing to stay out. He's going to restart 18th.
And we are green.
I think you were a little premature with that call.
No, we're green.
Three wide once again, Ethan Stanley. A lot of these guys on old tires are not going to be able to turn.
He was taking a peek 4 wide just there. Almost went. Rebilas up in the wall.
Whole bunch of craziness all through the field. New tires trying to pass old tires. Some guys got 2 tires. Some guys got 4 tires. And it leads to the craziness that we are seeing.
Had to clear a penalty there for Corey Abbott. He did come up just a second too soon on pit exit. It's very sensitive now, Chris, when you exit pit road. Not sure if you noticed that last night in the truck race, but came up just a brief, like, millisecond too soon and was penalized. He was able to get that cleared as he did serve the penalty of dropping to the rear of the field. It was Jeff Story on the high side of Braxton Deweese. Story going to fall back. Deweese going to fall forward. Hopefully he doesn't fall too far forward, otherwise that might hurt. As he's chasing down Ethan Stanley and Kean Raleigh. A little bit of shuffling back here in the midfield, but that's just because everybody's on top of each other. As we jump up to the chopper camera, yellow flag.
Gerald Campbell.
Gerald.
Looks like the 22 is going to hit the wall, bounce off the wall, bounce down into Gerald. Easy one for you to call here.
Yeah, that's definitely an easy one, Chris. Lap 39 tally to the 22.
He's driving a good-looking car, though. Starfield, if anybody hasn't gotten the chance to play it and you're playing some video games, it's a great game.
And an immediate apology from Andrew Hardcastle, Chris. So gotta give him credit for that. At least he's respectful and apologized to Gerald for the incident. I always do appreciate when the drivers show that respect. Chad Frankenfield and Jess Story come down pit road, as does Johnny Thomas, Michael Hosick, Dave Carpenter, Trey Holmes, all coming down pit road as well. Jesse Racimus also coming down, as well as Hardcastle, Jaden Racimus, Mark Rebilas, Drogue Campbell, and Kynan Jones. So 5 cautions in, Chris. Current tally count in this one is a tally for the 70 of Racimus, tally to the 91 of Johnny Thomas, and a tally to the 22 of Hardcastle.
Yeah, and we kind of expected to see some of this tonight.
One thing I want to say, though, is yes, we've had a couple of incidents so far, but we haven't really had any big wrecks. Like, we've had...
Yeah, there's that jinx.
Yes, that's probably a jinx, Chris, but the way this track is, it's kind of weird that there hasn't been any big ones, because it's not that wide.
Yeah, like I said, if anybody watching, when we take off here and wreck 25 cars on this restart,
Blame Dave Huckleberry. That's right.
no, I'm saying blame Robert Hill right
Blame
there.
Gerald Campbell. Well, maybe we might be blaming Gerald. That's possible.
Look, I don't want to kick him in when he's down, but Gerald's not far enough up at the front to cause a wreck that's going to be 20 cars.
No, I'm just checking to see if Huck sent any messages about me just blaming him there. He did not, so glad to see that he didn't hear that one as we're going to get set to go green.
It will be interesting to see what happens here. We still have some guys on old tires, some guys on 2 tires, some guys like it's going to be interesting here at Gateway. You know, and I've not looked in Sim. Can you see the arch in Sim? Is that modeled anywhere?
Absolutely, it is. You can throw that up on the screen here, just briefly.
I didn't know if it was modeled or not. I didn't know how far
There's the Gateway arch.
went out.
Chris, most of these tracks that have some sort of scenery around it, they're definitely going to put it into iRacing. As we get set to go green here, it is Ethan Burrell and Tate Lytle on the front row.
Green flag
Burrell with
is
a
out.
great jump. Kean Raleigh with a little bit of a nap on the start there.
Justin Fuller's got 4 tires to those guys is none. So Ethan Stanley trying to get in there 3 wide.
That's one thing about Stanley lately. He's found that next level of aggression that he didn't necessarily have before. I know it's led to some upset drivers recently, and Stanley building up that rivalry list bit by bit. I think it's Pro Edge versus Ethan Stanley at this point, Chris.
Yeah, Ethan found that aggression over there at Lake Norman, and
I think
he's
it's
on 2 tires right now.
It's a prerequisite. Have a little bit of aggression.
Oh, Chad Frankenfield, Jeff Green just got up into the wall down at the turn 1.
Corey Abbott, Trey Holmes coming together. They're able to continue on. I think that's what potentially led to the Chad Frankenfield, Jeff Green excursions out there. As Jeff Green gets to the high side of Jess Story. Actually, Story dives by on the inside. Keeping an eye on Braxton DeWeese, just mostly because everyone seems to love him in our chat.
Ethan Stanley into the back of Tate Lytle.
That got tight. Trey Eidson went for a bit of a slide. Ethan Stanley, we mentioned that aggression. Oh, I think we got a wreck coming here.
Yeah, everybody saved it. Michael Hotzek drove through the grass. He's all right. Oh, but they're 4 wide.
Johnny Thomas was in that. William White, Chad J. We're going to jump back up here. Don't ask that question. Just Story just said, how did we not crash yet? And I told him, don't ask. Trey Eidson dives to the inside of Ethan Burrell. Burrell going to fall back. Burrell, of course, on old tires. So those not going to help him out too much. As Raleigh closing in on Burrell.
Ooh,
that's Jay Connor.
today.
Connor saves it. There was contact there between Connor and Fody.
Oh, they're 3 wide.
Dustin Durr having an issue. He's coming to a slow. Chris, there's a lot going on the racetrack right now, so excuse me if I don't get to what you're calling out right away.
Yeah, there's a ton going on. Oh, Tyler Pop, going to take a look here. Is he going to get in there?
We'll go to the Tyler Pop machine. He gets to the inside of Jake Connor. Adams takes a peek. Almost
Josh has
gets
recovered
there.
well. He's almost up to the back of RC. Those two cars have the same amount of tires left. Is that
Jake
Norgard
Connor
in the wall?
that was Jake Connor in the wall.
I think Norgard hit it a couple cars behind him, too.
Norgard got a piece of it as well. He dives to the inside of Garrison Hogan. Kynan Jones sets his quick time of the race. That car slowly coming together bit by bit. But it's Fuller, Eidson, and then Raleigh. Eidson falling back here. I wonder if he had a bit of an issue as DeWeese and Lytle swapping spots. DeWeese on the bottom, Lytle up top. As we are approaching the halfway point. Just one to go before we do hit that halfway. Again, a playoff point to the leader at halfway. And as of right now, it is Justin Fuller. Depending on well, actually, even if the caution were to come out now, it would likely be handed out. So Justin Fuller likely to grab that point as Garrison Hogan takes a dive to the inside of Brandon Ultra. As we come around, cross flags are displayed. 50 down, 50 to go for your halfway leader, Justin Fuller.
Yeah, and the cars that I'm watching are the three cars we saw stay out earlier. RC Enerson, Josh Adams, Garrison Hogan. They've all recovered nicely.
RC about to drive into the top 10.
Yeah, RC was trying to make Garrison was trying to make a pass, and Chad tried to look underneath him. And
let's keep an eye on that, Chris, as both of those drivers have a high aggression level, and it may come into play here. As we have three drivers all under a blanket. It's Hogan all over the rear end of Ultra, and then Frankenfield just behind the Garrison Hogan machine. Now Chad on the outside pinches down on Garrison Hogan as Chad goes around just about.
Oh, there we go, 3 wide.
Hogan up top, Story down low, Hossack in the middle, contact between Hogan and Hossack. Hogan able to hang on to it. These drivers, ballsy. Very ballsy.
Where it is, too, like up here right behind Tyler Fody is a lot of guys stacked up.
Yeah, Fody.
Scott Crump nearly spins.
Fody, Weeks, Enerson, Rawls, Crump. And Crump has Cutlip slicing his way to the bottom. Here comes Lip Slice. And he falls back. And dives back to the inside. A little bit of a side-by-side. It's Crump and Cutlip here with just 47 laps to go. They're ticking these off rather nicely here for us.
Just really stacked up right behind Tyler Fody.
Chris, this is one of those races where we've really had to jump through the field. There's just so much going on as we got
RC.
Trey Holmes and a Leighton Norgard nearly came together. RC Enerson to the inside of Matthew Weeks. Another beautiful scheme on the Matthew Weeks number 11. That's JV Designs. Justin Vandermarl sponsoring that machine. Got to give him a shout out. He's my teammate, but also just an all-around cool guy.
Yeah, great guy.
Absolutely. He's
great work, too. Great paint schemes.
A bit of a pain in the butt sometimes, but gotta love him. As Fuller continues to lead over Trey Eidson, Kean Raleigh. Dave Carpenter just had himself a moment. He's able to gather it back up. And he disappears.
Now RC making the pass on Tyler Fody.
RC Enerson gets by Tyler Fody. Seth Rawls into the wall just behind them. He's on the high side of Scott Crump. It's Crump on the bottom. Rawls up on the high side. They're chasing down Matthew Weeks in car number 11. Weeks just behind Fody. Fody behind Enerson, who's behind Lytle. And then Burrell, DeWeese, Stanley, Raleigh, Eidson, and your leader, Fuller.
We got a car really blinking. I believe it's the 15. 15 is blinking in and out consistently here.
Keep an eye on that 15 of Frankenfield.
I was wondering. I was like, man, is somebody just playing a little bit of Houdini down the back?
Looks like he's solidified a little bit there, Chris. If you could take a look and check out his quality and whatnot, that would be appreciated.
Everything looks like it's good. His ping might be a little bit up at 66, but a lot of people are at 66.
Yeah, I think he's okay.
Must have just been a spike there down the backstretch that I just happened to be looking at.
Side by side, further back. That's a battle for 30th. It's Kynan Jones on the bottom, Mark Rebilas up top. We got battles everywhere, Chris. Speaking of battles, we go back up to the battle between Tate Lytle and R.C. Enerson. Enerson taking a look to the inside of Lytle, not able to do it that time. I think he's just going to stay in line. And I lied. He dives to the inside. R.C. Enerson looking to gain that 7th spot from Lytle, able to get it that time. Next on the chopping block for R.C. is the 37 of Ethan Burrell. Burrell just ahead of Enerson here as they head down into turn number 1. 58 down, 42 to go. This driver's finally starting to find a little bit of a rhythm as we fall back and take a peek at the 13 of Tyler Popp. Well, he's in a little bit of a bubble here. He's got Adams. Actually, as I mentioned, that Adams takes a peek down to the bottom, not able to get there that time. Jay Connor just behind Josh Adams, and then Chad Frankenfield just there, as well as Garrison Hogan. And ahead of Tyler Popp is a blinking John Cutlip.
I have a question here for you, Bobby, and I know there's still a long way to go, and we could easily get a caution in this race. But do you have right in front of you the guys who stayed out when everybody pitted?
Just give me one moment here. So we keep an eye on that 28. He keeps blinking in and out.
Because I believe it's Ethan Burrell, right? And Tate Lytle. They stayed out.
Just give me one moment here, Chris. Just dealing with this blinking on the Cutlip machine. I think he's solidifying now. That was just getting a little bit too sketchy. Okay, so what do you want to know here, Chris?
The guys that stayed out when everybody pitted there, when everybody pitted and we had those
Ethan
front
Burrell,
nine.
Tate Lytle, that's it.
Ethan Burrell, Tate Lytle, they cannot go the rest of this race on fuel.
They are 13 laps shy of the majority of the field. Then we have a handful of guys that pit on that 41 compared to the 30 of basically everybody else. So some of those guys with a little bit of extra wiggle room. Looks like the 28 of Cutlip has cleared up that blinking issue. So good to see there. Again, a little bit of multitasking this season. So that's one of the things we got to deal with.
Well, fuel race for some, I believe.
A little bit of a fuel race for some of these guys. That's right. As R.C. Enerson, now he's worked his way into the top 5. He just got by Braxton DeWeese and Ethan Burrell, as he's trying to chase down Ethan Stanley. Stanley's in 4th, about half a second or so ahead of R.C. Enerson. I'm not even going to point this out, Chris, but there's something pretty remarkable that's happened in this race thus far. And
if you're not going to point it out,
I want to see if you... Well, take a look at the running order of the field and see if you can see what's going on. I'll give you a couple minutes to figure it out.
Let's see if I can see what's going on. Well, I am corrected on the fuel race. I believe a lot of guys did auto fuel, and some guys I think they're going to be fine. I don't think it's going to, they're out of tiredness to finish the rest of the race.
Crump and Rawls side by side.
Oh, I see. Do we want to jinx it? We want to talk about it?
Is it something that both Justin Fuller and Jaden Racimus have in common?
Yeah. Do we want to talk about it?
Yeah, let's do it. The thing I was talking about here is every single driver in this race that took the green flag is still running and is still on the lead lap. So
yeah, I was going to say, not just running, everybody's on the lead lap.
Like, that's pretty darn cool at this point in the race. Obviously, 65 laps doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot of laps thus far. And to have everyone on the lead lap, despite having a couple of incidents, that's pretty cool. So, shout out to the field for what they've done here so far tonight.
Oh, Tate Lytle.
Did we jinx
really
it?
Sideways down into turn 1, under braking. Great save for Tate.
Just taking a look, though, Jaden Racimus is a good bit back from the leader, Justin Fuller, probably about 10 seconds from going a lap down. So if we do get a caution before that, then we may very well end up, unless we have a big wreck, of course, with all the drivers finishing this one on the lead lap today. As we have a battle brewing here for the lead, Chris. I'll say it. I don't care. We have a battle brewing for the lead. It's Justin Fuller, but he's got Kian Raleigh only 0.3 of a second behind him. So Raleigh looking to pick up that top spot.
You know, it looks like there's a great little road course, maybe a go-kart track there in the middle of this place.
Well, there's a few, Chris, as we mentioned in our sponsor read. This is Worldwide Technology Raceway, home to a 1.25-mile oval, a 2-mile road course, a quarter-mile drag strip, and a state-of-the-art karting facility known as the Kartplex here in Madison, Illinois.
The Kartplex looks very nice down there.
As Ethan Stanley gets a little bit slideways as R.C. Enerson goes on by. We got a battle between Leighton Norgard and William White for the 24th spot. Johnny Thomas joining that battle as well. This is one of the first Grand National starts for William White. I do believe it might be his second or third, as he has a blinking moment there.
I'll tell you this, William White got wrecked last night. He was not happy about it in the truck race.
Was he swearing in British?
He was swearing in English with the British accent.
Throwing teacups out there. Is Braxton DeWeese holding on to position number 6. Garrison Hogan just got by Tyler Pop. That's for 15th. Hogan now 15th. Pop back to 16th. As we come around, Justin Fuller continues to lead the way. We're going to do a lap on board with... we were going to do it with Michael Hossack, but he's blinking.
I think if we're going to do it with somebody, we need to do it with the fastest car on the track, and that'd be R.C. Enerson.
Yeah, well, not quite the quickest car on the racetrack, R.C. Enerson. Quickest is actually Trey Eidson, but we'll do a lap
maybe the
around.
last lap, but I think RC's been closing the gap.
We'll do a lap around here with R.C. Enerson as he's going to come around to the start-finish line. Let's go on board.
You hear the brakes. He does not downshift there.
As we show the dashboard up, he's holding on to that 4th gear.
RC's not shifting.
160 miles per hour down into turn number 3.
We got a lead change that just happened out in front of him too, and now they're going to swap spots back.
You can see it through his windshield here. Raleigh and Fuller as Raleigh goes on by. That'll be a lap around Worldwide Technology Raceway.
In here about not shifting being easier on the rear tires.
It's possible.
Because RC is not shifting down here in 1 and 2.
As you do see Kian Raleigh, now your leader ahead of Justin Fuller. Fuller hits the wall a little bit there just before the entrance on the back straightaway. At the end of this one, Chris, at Worldwide Technology Raceway, you have a couple options of where to celebrate. You can celebrate on the front straightaway, where you can cheer with the fans, or you can go to that opening on the back straight and do a burnout against the outhouse. What would you do?
What was the question?
If you were to win here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, would you celebrate on the front straight with the fans, or right here as Kian Raleigh's going by with the outhouse? You do a burnout against the porta potty.
Got to celebrate with the fans.
There might be a fan in the porta potty.
Maybe, but that's just one fan, and that would be awkward.
Just do a burnout against the porta potty there. Just might be some chunks that get shot out of that thing as we come around here. 74 laps down, 27 to go. Who did you pick for this one tonight, Chris?
I picked Scott Crump.
Scott Crump currently running in that 11th spot. Just got passed by Matthew Weeks. My pick, R.C. Enerson, currently in that 4th spot. Both of our picks not having bad runs here tonight, but I don't know if they're going to have an answer for either Kean Raleigh or Justin Fuller.
Now listen, there is something that is being talked about right now, and it's not racing related, but everyone in the United States, and I feel like most of Canada, plays fantasy football, and Aaron Rodgers just got carted off the field in his first game. It probably still the first quarter. It's bleeding.
Oh, no.
Some people are speculating it could be a broken ankle.
Are you kidding me? That's terrible. The poor New York fans, Chris.
Yeah, they finally had something to live for, and now... Or something to get excited for. Not live for is the wrong verbiage there. They had something to get super excited for. Their football team got this guy who's been an MVP. Oh, we're wrecking off a 4. Big junk off a 4.
Trey Holmes involved in that one. Trey Holmes, Jess Story, and Jeff Green all involved in that one. We're going to take a look here at the Rebilas Photography replay machine.
Man, I'm not sure if something happened between these two before this or what. But they got down in the 3 in the 88. He's going to hit the 29 in the middle of the corner. Like, shadowed him in, followed him up the track, gives him a bump. Then he kind of drives right back to the left rear and finishes the job. But there has been an apology, so he didn't mean to do it. But he did apologize to Jess.
Matthew Weeks, not too happy. Yeah, that one's going to be on the 88 of Trey Holmes here on lap 75. Unfortunate.
Oh, man. I know we probably need another commercial here, and that's fine, but it is getting hot and heavy up here.
It's getting spicy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
As we're going to throw it to a commercial break here, we'll be right back with the Gateway.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we are back here. It's the Gateway 125, Chris. And developing story. RC Enerson just had to come down pit road for a second time as he only took 2 tires and he would not have been able to compete, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. We just heard from TA Services. We've heard from Worldwide Technology Raceway and, of course, Blue Egg Marketing, the marketing department for small businesses, small business owners. Blue Egg is your biggest fan. And Rebilas Photography, RebilasPhoto.com for all your photography needs as we get set to go green. Key and Raleigh, the control car up top with Justin Fuller, Trey Eidson, Ethan Stanley, and Ethan Burrell, the top 5. And a lot of drivers hating each other here with just 21 to go as we go green.
And one big thing happened here. Jeff Green loaded up and headed home, so the jinx and the fix was in.
Jefe Verde opted to go home. Keep an eye on Matthew Weeks and Tyler Fody. These drivers had a bit of beef as we do have a battle for the lead. It's Fuller on the ball. Oh, Raleigh in the wall.
Oh, man. This is getting pretty...
Yep. Eidson on the inside of Raleigh. That's
3
for
wide back
second.
there around Weeks. Oh, they're going to get back to 2. Oh, Justin Fuller, and there's contact up at the front.
Yeah, we've had contact a couple times here.
Oh, Michael Hosek is running the new lane through turn 1 and 2. Haven't seen anybody use that lane yet.
We got drivers everywhere here on the racetrack, Chris, as Fuller chases Raleigh down here on the front straight. Raleigh took a look to the inside, and Fuller cut him off, not allowing him to go anywhere. Stanley and Eidson battle for third. Drivers talking about I-rating in a league race, Chris. That's irrelevant.
Yeah. That's very irrelevant because some of these guys choose not even to run officials.
Well, the one thing I want to point out here is these drivers keep running into each other, but there's so much side chatter. It's like, let's just focus on driving, and we might have a better time of making it to the end.
Look, I feel like at this point, if the races are going to be like this with this much communication, we need to record some of it and maybe put out a weekly episode of all 3 series here of, you know, some of the things we can show the world in a 2 or 3 minute YouTube video, a little bit of elite radioactive.
That would be cool. As next week's goal here is everyone bring a special recipe to share with the rest of the class. And you better bring some cookies, Chris, right? Because I like cookies. As Fuller leads over Raleigh. Raleigh all over the rear end of Fuller, and then just behind them it's Stanley and Eidson duking it out.
Everybody has kind of separated from each other.
Burrell
right
looks to the inside of DeWeese. That's a battle for position number 5. Burrell looking to get it. DeWeese looking to keep it. As Jay Connor and Tyler Pop duking it out. Still not quite a battle for the lead. Still 0.2 of a second between Fuller and Raleigh. He keeps looking. He's going to take a dive, Chris. You know it's coming. Just an update on RC Enerson. He's currently scored in position 22 way back in traffic. As we're going to come around to 15 laps to go this time. It's Justin Fuller and Kean Raleigh. As Raleigh trying to close that gap, will jump onto the nose camera of that machine. You can just see him getting closer and closer. Absolutely. They're going to keep making contact, Chris. That's a given. That's Fuller over Raleigh. The gap, kind of like a roller coaster here. It's up and down and all around as these drivers try to creep forward more and more. About everybody in the field just set their personal best lap last time. That's, Ethan Stanley hard in the wall right there, Chris, in third.
I just want to point out 2 cars.
Well, I got to point out 2 cars side by side. as it's Raleigh on the inside of Fuller. And Raleigh chasing Fuller up the track. We got contact for the lead.
More contact.
Sorry to cut you off there, Chris.
Oh, you're good. I was just going to point out Scott Crump and Chad Frankenfield are running right together, but the race for the lead, that over
That definitely overshadows it right now, as these drivers exceptionally close. Raleigh's got to be careful, though, as he nearly hooked himself off the Justin Fuller machine.
Now, he got into the back of Fuller a couple times. Does Fuller return the favor?
Oh, Fuller definitely returns the favor. Just a quick run through the top 10. It's Raleigh, Fuller, Stanley, as Fuller looks to the inside of Raleigh. Eidson and DeWeese, that's your top 5. Then
Here we
Burrell,
go.
Lytle,
Side
Fody,
by
Weeks,
side.
and Rawls, as Crump takes a big dive down to the inside there, just outside the top 10. Fuller back to the inside of Raleigh. As we come around, we're going to be 12 to go. Ethan Stanley took a look to the inside of Kean Raleigh. It's a 3-car battle for the lead now.
Race down into turn 1 again.
And you know what? Let's make it a 4-car battle. Maybe even 5, as Eidson and DeWeese closing in.
Near the
Raleigh.
end of the wall.
That's Kean Raleigh into the wall.
Is that what
What
Fuller
did you
needed?
just call
That's
him?
what it- I said Ken.
I heard Jamie Haley. I'm like, Jamie's not here.
No, I said Ken.
As Kean and Ethan side by side for second. Kean's going to lose a couple spots because he's got that door open for Eidson. Actually, only ends up losing an additional spot. So Fuller now 0.3 of a second ahead of Ethan Stanley with just 11 to go. Stanley slides up the racetrack, loses about another 10th there.
That might be all Justin needs. He's got about 3 car lengths. Now he can hit his marks. Get back in a rhythm.
Yeah, Fuller having himself a great entrance into the Elite Racing Leagues. I think he's already up to 5 or 6 wins in Elite as a whole. 4 of them coming in the Pit Pass Network ARCA series, and I think he's already got a win or 2 in this series this season, Chris.
But we did see some contact the last time we were on a short track out of Ethan Stanley into the car in front of him. I believe that was the Cup Series, at Nashville
Fairgrounds, yes. Ethan not afraid to use the bumper, especially. Oh, that was a big block by Eidson on DeWeese. DeWeese looks to the outside of Eidson. Ethan Burrell joining the party as well. 10 to go, coming to 9 this time. Ethan Stanley would have to do a big
we got
send.
a car in the wall. Braxton DeWeese
DeWeese
came down
gets
and
a
got into
piece.
Ethan Burrell. And Tate's
Tate's pushing him. Tate just absolutely pushing the rear end of that DeWeese machine.
Caution is out.
Well, that changes a lot.
Not sure who it is.
Mark Rebilas and Conan Jones back there. Let's take a look. This is going to change everything, Chris. Rebilas dives to the inside of Hardcastle, and he just straight up loses it. So it's going to be a tally on the 99 of Mark Rebilas. Review the lap 92 incident. Solo self-spin by the 99 of Mark Rebilas. Tally issued to the 99. Thanks for your sponsorship, by the way, Mark. That's a tally on the 99 of Rebilas there, Chris. On lap 92. This is going to be interesting. I don't expect anyone to come down pit road, but let's take a run through the top 10. As Justin Fuller, your leader, followed by the 92 of Ethan Stanley, the 68 of Kean Raleigh in third, Trey Eidson in fourth, Braxton DeWeese fifth. We have a bunch of takers on pit road outside the top 13. Ethan Burrell in sixth, Tate Lytle seventh, Tyler Fody in eighth, Matthew Weeks ninth, and Scott Crump rounded the top 10. And the rest of the cars that stayed on the track, Seth Rawls in 11th, John Cutlip in 12th, and Jess Story in 13th. Those are the drivers that stayed out. everyone else, RC Enerson, Tyler Papa, Leighton Norgard, and company all came down pit road. RC Enerson just up on the left side. Jax now, he's going to lose a bunch of spots and fall back. Let's take one final commercial break here. We'll make it a quick one. And when we come back, we'll bring you the conclusion of tonight's Gateway 125 for the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Don't go anywhere.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Gateway as we're getting ready to set up for what's going to be, I believe, a 4-lap shootout. I think we're going to get one to go here at 5, then 4. We'll go green on 4 to go. Had a lot of different strategies here play out. Everybody in the top 13 has stayed out. 14 on back is pitted, but all those guys back to RC took 2 tires, with the exception of Chad, because of the benefit of being the first guy that pitted. He only got jumped by a few of them. He's going to restart 18th with 4 tires. It's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out. The run was definitely long enough here for everybody to wear out their tires. So these guys on tires should be quite a bit faster, like we saw at the start of the race when we had a group of cars stay out. I don't know that they can win the race without maybe running 2 laps, catching a caution, and being able to establish yourself in the first 2 or 3 rows. But they're all definitely going to improve their position unless they get into a wreck here. We're about half a lap from the green. Leader is going to be Justin Fuller, who has picked the top here. Very surprised to see that because we saw, I believe it was Kian took the top earlier as the leader and lost the lead. If that guy on the inside wants to, he can just drive down in there, use you up. I don't know if I'd want to take the top here.
Well, Chris, this is going to be an interesting restart. I think the reason Fuller went up top is Trey Eidson is his teammate. So they can count down this restart perfectly, get both cars clear, and then he's got a bit of a blocker behind him. As we're going 3 wide, we're going to jump up to the blimp camera just to make sure everything is A-OK.
And it's
not. We have a multi-car incident. Jay Connor involved in that one. Looks like William White was involved.
Yeah, it looks like Jay got stacked up behind some guys, hit the back of the 70, who then hit the 21. And there's Gerald Campbell, who has been in or around about every accident tonight. Been a rough night for Gerald.
I think, realistically, Chris, I think Jay would have been able to catch it. And we would have been okay, but a little bit of contact from Corey Abbott into the rear of that machine just continued his slide through the corner. I'm going to go with the racing deal on that one.
They stacked up in front of him. And I agree with the racing deal. What that does do, though, I believe, is and nobody who pitted is going to be able to win this race now. They needed a couple laps and then a caution.
Absolutely. We're going to go green, white, checker Just give me one moment here.
How many attempts we get? We get 3, I think. 2? Okay, so people with tires could win. We got 3 shots at this. They got to rack them 3 times if they so desire. This race moved along at a pretty good pace. It's not even 9 o'clock yet on the East Coast here, and we're
almost
already
done
at the end of this thing.
Yeah, we should be done this show by 10 after 9 or so, Chris. So not too bad. And if you like what you saw tonight, come back here same time tomorrow. So that's what, 7:30 for the penultimate round of the Pit Pass Network ARCA Series Season number 2, as we set the stage for our championship finale next week. But this week we're going to run the Gen 4 cars at Auto Club. So it should be a good show.
It should be a great race. I was lucky enough to be asked my opinion on what Gen 4 races to do for that series. And Auto Club was the very first one that I said, Auto Club in Kansas need to be Gen 4. Those are so much fun to drive. Tomorrow's going to be such a great race. The track's going to widen out.
Absolutely.
Tune in. They're battling for their championship. And it's going to be a great show tomorrow night.
You know, Chris, I'm excited for the third season of the Pit Pass Network ARCA Series as well. I just completed that schedule about a week ago. We have a double-header race, which is going to have I believe it's either top 12 or a full field inversion between race number 1 and number 2. And we also have a dirt race with heats and a consi and whatnot, which are going to set the order for that field. And we're going to have some heat points. So a couple extra opportunities for drivers to earn points the season, a little bit longer than what we had this season. So it should be a good one. As we are still pacing.
We are one to go, though. We're going to go green right here.
Lights are still on the pace car, Chris.
Are they just doubled up to double up?
Yep.
Well, while we got time here, too, I want to give a shout-out to Dave Huckleberry for everything he does with Elite Racing Network. He makes it run like a smooth-oiled machine that we've seen without him around. It kind of goes off the rails. And shout-out to Chad for the league and all these different races he runs and series he puts on. And I'm going to go ahead and plug the new one. We got an IMSA series starting here in October, and that should be exciting. So if you're a road racer, you want to get into it, I believe it's going to be 2-hour races, no driver changes.
I think it's 90 minutes, Chris.
90-minute races, no team racing though, which hurts me a little bit. I'd like to see the time added and maybe some driver swaps going on, but it should be a lot of fun.
It actually makes it kind of tough if we did have the driver swaps, just with the way our timing and scoring systems work. We'd have to do a lot of modifications through the race and have extra people to help run the show, and it'd be a bit of a pain in the butt, but we could have made it work. As we're going to go green this time with 2 laps to go. Control car Justin Fuller, he's on the inside this time with the aggressive Ethan Stanley behind him. So we'll see if Stanley decides to send him here. His pace car going to make that turn onto pit road. We're going to make that turn to the green flag from the yellow. And we'll see what we do. First of a possible 3, that's correct. As we get underway. Slow start for Ethan Stanley.
Got caught sleeping there a little bit.
Well, he was sleeping. Now he's going to wake up. It's Trey Eidson working his way on the high side. Jay Connor with a moment. He catches it back up. We got drivers absolutely everywhere here. I don't know. We got Matthew Weeks all over Tyler Fode, Chris.
Yeah,
he's on the inside. Oh, that's a big one. Just before the white flag, everyone's involved.
That started with Fode and Weeks, and we've heard a lot of talking all race. Weeks got a run off of 2. Fody throws a block. There was a little contact down in there. Weeks then gets down in there and just jacks Fody up. They're 3 wide, running into each other. That gets Fody turned.
I can't believe it.
Garrison's in there, Chad's in there, Johnny Thomas, RC blast in there, Jesse, Campbell.
So taking a look, the 11 gets into the back of the 40, moves the 40 up the track. Then he gets hit from behind by the 1, which kind of kicks off another chain reaction, and everyone goes around. It's one of those borderline
And Jen Corey
calls.
said he didn't know they were 3 wide as well. They got tight 3 there.
It's one of those borderline calls, Chris, but I'm going to actually go with a racing deal on that one. I do believe. I'm going to take one more look from a different angle, just to be sure. Because you look, the 11 takes a peek, the 40 blocks, then the 11 gives him a tap into the corner, slides him up the track. He's not sideways, still full control. Then the 11 gets hit by the 1, and what happens there is Fody kind of gets obviously bent out of shape with the hit.
Yeah, and the 13
Then
got a
gets
big run back
collected
there
by the
behind the
1.
11. If you look at the 13, he was going to go underneath the 11, so the 11 went down there to defend as well. The 11 was blocking the 13, the 40 was blocking him. I have no issue with anybody blocking. Like, all those blocks seem fine.
Just give me 1 second here. I'm going to make the call over the radio. It's going to be a racing incident there. Lap 102 incident, Chris. Racing deal.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, there was a whole lot of contact. I see some people wanting a tally on the 11. Some people wanting a tally on the 40. And I think when there's people that want a tally on either car, I kind of can see that that's a racing deal. You know, the 40 made a big block, which the 11 was throwing a big block as well. Both cars blocking the cars behind them. They were all coming on tires. That's tires. 13s on tires, 56s on tires. Those guys are all coming on tires.
It's tough, Chris. It's definitely a tough call because there was a couple of different drivers that could have potentially been given a tally on that incident, but it was more of a domino effect to me. A lot of reactionary moves and kind of situational incidents.
Yeah, and people who are watching, or some guys who are frustrated in here, the 11 could have lifted and not ran into the back of the 40. The 40 could have not thrown a block. The 11 could have not, like, there was a lot of ways.
The 13 could have given a little bit more space. The 1 could have given a little bit more space as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of ways.
The 29 could have given a bit more space to the guys on the bottom.
There's 2 laps to go. You're not lifting.
That's it. It's one of those one of those incidents that it just sucks because some good cars got taken out. Well, a lot of cars got taken out in that one, and it's just too bad. But we're gonna get going here with just 2 laps to go once again, and I believe this is attempt number 2 of a possible 3, Chris.
Yeah, we're going to be on attempt number 2.
So Fuller, the control car, takes the high side this time, with second place Eidson on the inside. Then behind them is Stanley and Raleigh, with the Weiss rounding out the top 5. Then Burrell, Lytle, Story, and Weeks, as well as Crump up there in the top 10. As the green flag is about to come out. There it is. We're back underway. Great start by Trey Eidson on the inside of Justin Fuller. We'll have to keep an eye through the field Raleigh and Stanley nearly coming together for third. Burrell and DeWeese side by side. DeWeese, I think, got a piece of the wall. We got Weeks and Story side by side. Dewar falling down through the field. Chad Frankenfield just got into a wreck. Caution again. We'll take a look.
Well, I think what happened there is they were 4 wide and they might not have known it. Chad's got a lot of damage. He's severely hurt. So they're passing him on either side. Dusty's trying to go underneath the 71. And then they get back together. And
so the 32's the one that initiates the contact here, Chris. The 32 of Dewar comes down into Frankenfield. That gets Frankenfield bent out of shape back up the track. And then we have an incident with Kynan Jones and Michael Hosick.
I hate to say it, but I think you got to give the tally to the 32 on this one. It started all of it. Chad was way slow, way off the pace, and Dusty was trying to go to
me.
The inside
It looked like Dusty tried to go between Chad and Carpenter.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. And he just turned down and hit Chad, and then that Chad was completely sideways.
Tally issued to Dustin Durr in the 32. I hate doing that. Well, Chris, I know you just heard it. I just heard it. We got drivers that are on the edge when it comes to fuel. But the good thing for these drivers, Chris, is, well, we only got one attempt at a green-white checker. Because we've already used 2 of them. Chris?
Yeah, I'm talking to some drivers about fuel here.
Chris taking a nap.
The auto fuel feature is getting these boys in trouble. They forgot to turn it off. So a lot of the field is sitting here with between 2 and 3 laps of fuel left. A lot of guys we're talking about right here wanting to get one to go. They did not get one to go. So it's 2 green flag laps once the green comes out. Plus you're going to pace a whole nother lap at least.
Realistically, Chris, we're going to go green with 2 to go. I don't know that we make it to the end. 1 second, though. Michael Hosick requesting an EOL penalty. So he's going to drop to the rear. As Chris, we're going to go green.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of guys that are going to run out of gas. I think a lot of guys are going to run out of gas. Well, I can see one driver in particular. He couldn't pace for 2 more laps at this pace.
as we get set to go green, 2 to go.
Did you hear what I said there? I know you were talking.
What was that, Chris?
I can look directly at the driver's fuel number.
Yeah.
He can't pace for 2 laps at this pace without
going to
running
be
out of gas.
interesting. As we
it is
set
be
to go green. Justin Fuller on the medium level loud pedal. Doesn't go full loud this time. As we have a battle behind them, Eidson, Raleigh, and Stanley. Oh, contact Trey Eidson, Ethan Stanley together. Here comes Raleigh down to the inside. Braxton DeWeese coming too. We got Hardcastle and Carpenter with a moment together. Let's hope we keep it green this time as Eidson and Raleigh going to be side by side for second. There goes Tyler Pop. White flag's out.
They got
and
the caution.
Caution's
they got
out.
the caution.
So your top 3, Justin Fuller, Trey Eidson, Kean Raleigh, but we're going to take a look at that one anyways. Let's take a look here. Oh, that's the 29 gets loose on the high side down into Tyler Pop.
Wow. A lot of guys were really happy to see that race end under yellow.
Yeah, we just issued a tally there to Jess Story at the end of that one, Chris. Came down into the 13 of Pop, so sent Tyler Pop around. But Justin
By
Fuller,
my count, at least 10 or 15 cars were going to run out of fuel somewhere between turn 1 and halfway down the backstretch right there. So that caution just saved us from seeing some crazy stuff on that last lap. The car that I could see was going to run out of gas pretty quick there on that last lap.
Chris, I'm going to ask you to turn off your radio as you hear Matthew Weeks coming across your audio.
He was just congratulating the winner.
Afterwards. As Justin Fuller going to come around to celebrate. So it's Fuller, Eidson, and Raleigh. We're going to step away real quick. When we come back, we'll talk to the top 3. Don't go anywhere.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we just wrapped up here the Gateway 125, and we have our top 3 standing by. We're going to go ahead and bring in our third place driver, Kean Raleigh, for an interview with Chris Wright. Actually, Kian's muted right now. There he goes. He's unmuted, so we'll pull him in now. Kian Raleigh with Chris Wright.
Kian, you had a great run tonight. Battled for the win there with Justin. We saw it get a little physical. What more did you need? And talk to us about your night there and how you managed to miss all the chaos and get a top 3.
I mean, I think it was pretty clear that when it came down to the last 40 laps of the race, I was the fastest guy on the racetrack by quite a significant margin. On the restart, after the caution came out, Fuller just got off the line better, and he took a really aggressive line off of turn 2, and I thought he was just going to drive into me, and he didn't, but it scared me, and I got on the fence, and I mean, I was fast enough, obviously, to get up and drive around him a second time, but as soon as I did that, I outbraked myself and almost put the car in the wall. So tonight was my night, my race to lose, and I threw it away with a couple of pretty silly mistakes.
Yeah, but I mean, it could have been worse. You could have ended up in a wreck. There was a lot of drama that took place tonight. How did you manage to miss all of it? Just being up front?
It was all behind me. I mean, these guys were wrecking for 24th, 25th place, I think, that were screaming at each other on the voice chat when the race was over. I couldn't really be bothered to listen to it. It was really annoying. But yeah, I mean, I made the aggressive tire calls. I took tires every time I had the chance, and it ended up being a good decision and put me in a position to run top. I mean, I was fast enough to run top 5 all night, even before the tire stuff started happening. But I think I made the right calls, and I was just able to keep the car out of harm's way, and that played a big part in being able to get back up front and finish where I did.
Well, all right, Kian, congrats on your top 3. Who helps you get on the racetrack? Any sponsors you want to shout out, or any sponsors you want to thank, shout out you want to give?
Well, my first thanks goes out again to Jonathan Oates for wrapping the car you guys saw today, which I think is a genuine paint scheme of the year contender. It's gorgeous race car. It's a shame I only get to run it one time. I'm honestly upset about that, but today is a big day for people in the United States. Tragic day, and I think it's nice to go out and honor that in any way I can. Whoever built the setup tonight, I'm about to buy him dinner, because this was the most fun setup I've driven in probably 2 or 3 years. It was spectacular. A lot of really hard to drive, and I think to lead into another thing real quick, I think if next week is anything like this, we're going to be fast too, because these driver tracks with the hard setups are proving to be successful for me, and I really enjoy them. But yeah, obviously my thanks goes out to my designer, the guy that made the setup tonight. I don't know who did it, but seriously, it's spectacular. All the guys up front around me that made the first 90 laps of that race enjoyable. All the guys behind the scenes that put the league on for us. My girlfriend has been bugging me for weeks to give her a shout out if I finish top 3. I'm sure she'll come back and watch this. She's probably going to give me shit for not winning the race, but you know what? It is what it is. And of course, to you guys that run the broadcast and the guys that put the show on for us, my thanks go out to you guys. It's honestly something I look forward to every Monday, and I think I've made a name for myself here as one of the championship contenders, and it's fun. I look forward to it, and I can't wait to be back next week.
Well, all right, Kian, congrats on your run, and we look forward to seeing you next week. And I believe, are you running the ARCA race tomorrow?
I don't have any plans to yet, but we will see.
Well, congrats on the run. We look forward to seeing more out of it here as we get closer to the playoffs.
Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
That's Kian Raleigh, your 3rd place finisher here tonight. Now standing by with Chris Wright is the runner-up. Came up 1 spot short, Trey Eidson in the 77.
Well, now I'm joined by Trey. Trey, great run tonight. Managed to pull out a top 3 there with all the chaos going on. It kind of turned into a short track race there at the end. Take us through your night and how you managed to avoid all the chaos.
Drive like an a-hole is how you kind of avoided it. I don't know. I thought I would be better here. I'm normally pretty good on the long runs here, and I just fell apart. I had something going on with my brake pedal where normally where I mentally or muscle memory, whatever you want to call it, would push it and get good response or close to 100% brake. It was only moving half to the meter, so I was just blowing through turn 1, couldn't get it woed up. I felt like I was pushing my pedal through the dang wall of my house. And then normally I run a 14 or 16, a higher ratio, and I decided to run 12 to 9 like a moron. So just killed the right front. Just that combined was just chewing through my tires. I was trash after like a 5-lap run. I just fell apart. Probably should have finished like 8th or 9th. Like Deweese was all over me for 4th or 5th right there. We got a late caution. Restart lanes work out. Just cautions fall saved me. So I will gladly take a top 3 on a night where I feel like I should have probably finished like 10th.
Yeah, it sounds like you're pretty happy with the way it ended then. A lot of guys didn't like the cautions, but you're saying the caution saved you from losing some track position?
Yeah, a lot. Like RC was coming with 20 or so to go. Probably would have lost to him. And then we had like that, I don't even call it a long run, but like an intermediate run right there. But after we all pitted and had like 5th, 6th, 7th, and I was holding them up. So I don't know what happened at the end. I think I was clear from the little bit of replay I watched off of 2 with Ethan. I downshifted off to get up out of the hole off of 2, and I heard clear. But as soon as I like laid the hammer down, I got loose. So it's just bad timing of sliding up. Luckily, we didn't all wreck right there. So appreciate him giving me some slack if he did. Otherwise, could have just been a prayer that we all got through there. But to your question, yes, the cautions. They allowed my tires to cool off where it would drive pretty good for a couple laps, and kept me kind of towards the front where it's not as crazy as it is kind of mid-pack.
Well, congrats on your run. We look forward to seeing you make a move here towards the playoffs and getting some more wins here down the stretch. So any shout-outs you want to give, sponsors you want to thank?
Thanks to you guys. Ran it's kind of a 9/11 / throwback tonight. It's a scheme Jamie McMurray ran in 2001, I believe, at Daytona. So it's got like a 9/11 stamp on the hood. Just all the heroes and all the people lost on 9/11. So just want to honor them. So it's nice to keep the paint scheme up front, get eyes on it, and not let everyone forget what happened on that day.
Yeah, that's the first time it's been brought up tonight. I actually didn't dawn on me what the date was. So yeah, never forget. Lots of people remember that day and the war that we fought for many years after. So yeah, never forget what happened that day. A lot of people, it's wild. A lot of people now talk about not even being born during that. It happened.
Yeah, it's freaky.
Yeah, it's crazy. So never forget what happened in the past. Not even just about obviously today's 9/11, but a lot of people don't even remember Pearl Harbor. We weren't alive with what went down there. So yeah, never forget what happened in your country's history. And I'd like to think that a lot of people watching tonight, if they had family that served, were thinking about that and thought about maybe rooting for you moving forward, since you were the one guy out there that was talking about it and whatnot.
Yep. I wanted to race last night. I had another kind of 9/11 scheme done for my truck, but I was at a NFL kickoff party and we got home about 10 minutes past the qualifying time, so I didn't get to make it to run that one. So I have to bring that out later on. But yep, appreciate it, guys. Hope you have a good rest of your night. Hopefully get to talk to you guys tomorrow after the ARC race.
All right, come and see us. Put on a good show for us tomorrow. Gen Ford Auto Club. We can't wait.
Hey, I'm the points leader. I got to get out of there with a good result.
So you're not going to put it up on the fence?
No. No. Mm-mm.
All right, good luck tomorrow, Trey.
Play it safe.
Well, that was Trey Eidson, your runner-up here tonight. And I do want to correct one thing, Chris. Kean Raleigh was also running a tribute scheme for the 9/11 as well. So nice to see a couple of patriotic schemes in memorial for all of those lives lost now 22 years ago already. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that somebody that's 20 years old today, they didn't. I think everybody who was alive kind of remembers where they were when it happened. And you're not even from here, and you're from Canada. I'm sure you remember.
I was in grade 1 when it happened. But let's pull in Justin Fuller, our winner, and then we'll touch back on this subject a little bit later. But here's your winner, Justin Fuller, standing by with Chris Wright.
All right, we are now joined by Justin Fuller, the guy who ran up at the front most of the night, ended up getting the win. Justin, talk to us through your night and how you managed to stay up front when we had some different strategies going on.
I think just staying ahead of the tire strategy for sure. I was really surprised when RC didn't pit that first when we all pitted there. Only a couple other guys stayed out. I was really confused on that one, especially with the amount of tires that we had. So just staying ahead of that, not falling behind on tires, and just hoping that we would eventually get a long run, which we did, to kind of make it so that whatever remaining tires we had left, I was pretty comfortable with making it to the end.
Were you a little worried there at the end when some guys got up there around you and you lost the lead at one point, were able to get it right back?
Yes, I got really tight, but I also knocked the wall down pretty hard. I had about 25 seconds of damage, and I don't know how much that affected me. I do know when Kean got side by side, he was the only one that really got side by side with me. I just noticed that he was able to pull down the straightaways faster than me. So I feel like I was losing maybe a tenth a lap at least, which wasn't helping any at all. So I knew he was fast on the short run, and I knew he was gonna be aggressive trying to win that race. So I kept pinning him back. I knew Trey's situation. Ethan really wasn't up there all night long. Obviously he bends the field over at the road courses, so of course he's gonna run really good here. We're downshifting, so I felt like Kean was the biggest threat, so I had to do what I had to do to keep him back.
Yeah, and moving forward, what's your outlook for the rest of the season? You're going to be able to get some more trophies? You're going to be trying to make the playoffs? What's your playoff situation like moving forward?
I got to double check the schedule, make sure I'm going to be here for every race. I'm pretty sure I'm here for most of them, so I'm planning on making a run for it. We'll see what happens. I got a couple good tracks coming up. I like Phoenix. I like the Nashville Fairgrounds. So I think we'll make the playoffs, no problem. I think, but anything can happen, right? So we can't get complacent. Got to just keep putting good runs together, and hope we can get it there.
Yeah, and then getting the win tonight, that's a big deal. Talk to us about who makes it happen, sponsors, shout-outs you want to give?
Yeah, thanks to Mark Rebilas Photography for sponsoring the series. Thanks to you guys putting on the broadcast. Thanks to all the admins at the Elite Racing League. I've continued to have fun over here. It's nice to get my first premium race win. I've only gotten ARCA wins so far. So that was kind of cool. I came pretty close at Texas earlier this season, and so it was nice to finally close one out in the Premier Series over here. Thanks to Trey for always keeping me looking good and being a good teammate. And yeah, I look forward to going back on the broadcast tomorrow and picking through it and checking it out.
You mentioned the ARCA series. You going to be there tomorrow night for Auto Club?
Actually, I am not. I'm done with the Tuesday nights. Bowling league starts tomorrow night, so I'll be bowling for Tuesdays for the next 30 weeks.
He's got to hit a 300 tomorrow, Chris. I think that's.
I don't think you just walk in and hit a 300.
Well, good luck bowling, Justin.
Thank you. I've never bowled a 300. My best game's a 297. I really choked that in New York State.
Dang.
New York State qualifier, or not? No, New York State State.
So this guy's a professional bowler. Your PVA material out here. Hitting 297.
I average a little over a 200, so I'm not a pro, but
I average a little under a 100.
You know what? As long as you're having fun, that's all that matters.
Absolutely, Justin. Congratulations on your win again tonight, and we look forward to seeing you out here next time.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Chris, that's professional bowler and race winner Justin Fuller. But let's go back to it. So 22 years ago today, many lives were lost in New York with the planes hitting the Twin Towers, and 9/11 is always going to be a date that sticks with all of us. Like you mentioned, everyone remembers where they were on that day, and we just want to let the families know, if any of them are watching. I don't know if they are, but we want to let you know that you're always in our hearts and in our thoughts every single day, not just on this day, and we appreciate you being here with us.
Yeah, and you mentioned New York there, but we can't leave out, the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania and the people in Washington at the Pentagon. There was a widespread attack, and it led to a long war that, just recently ended here in the last decade. So it was a bad time. It was a rough day, but America rebuilt, stood together, and now here we are today.
It's one of those negative events that brings everyone together. And, you know, no matter what your beliefs are, no matter who you are, no matter what political parties you support, anything like that, everyone can come together and collectively pay tribute to those lives lost and share that same level of respect for everyone that unfortunately perished in the event. Not just the people in the buildings, but the firefighters, the military, the police, people that passed away years later due to effects of the chemicals and whatnot that were inhaled on that day as well. It's just a somber day that will always stick with us, and we'll always keep those folks in our thoughts and prayers every single day.
Yep, couldn't have said it better myself there, Robert.
But Chris, final thoughts from you as we're about to send it off here from the Worldwide Technology Raceway. It's been the Gateway 125 with Justin Fuller, the winner here tonight.
Well, it was a really good race. We saw different strategies and a lot of green flag action until about 15 to go, and guys were getting super hot and bothered. The drivers were getting frustrated. Everybody was getting upset there, and it showed on the last run there. The last 3 or 4 restarts, guys had it with each other, and they weren't lifting or taking care of each other, and because of that, we ended up with a lot of tore-up race cars. We talked about at one point with about 30 or 35 to go that everybody was still running, but by the end, I think 10 or 15 guys had loaded up and headed home.
Yeah, it's just one of those events where, we did have a bunch of guys end up getting collected there late. We finished with 25 cars on the lead lap, which still a pretty good one. And just taking a look at the points before we head off for the evening. Tyler Fode, your points leader by 37 over Trey Idson, 38 over Scott Crump, 46 over Kean Raleigh, and 49 over Ethan Burrell. That's the top 5 in points here after 6 rounds. And we still have 4 rounds to go in the regular season before the top 14 head off to the chase. So next race for us, it will be next Monday night, the 18th at the Milwaukee Mile. That'll be followed by Phoenix, Homestead, and the Nashville Fairgrounds. But that'll just about do it for us here tonight. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, 7:30 Eastern Time, for ARCA action from Auto Club in the Gen 4 car for the penultimate round of that series. And actually, we'll give you a quick points update on that one before we head off, just to maybe build a little bit of momentum before tomorrow. Trey Idson mentioned he is the leader, and he is by 8 over Jay Connor, 11 over Cash James, 17 over Colin Culpa, and 22 over Hunter Smith. So big opportunity for a lot of drivers to close that gap and chase down a title. And we hope you'll join us tomorrow night, 7:30, right here on the Elite Racing Network. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we look forward